We tried multiple times to put together the Bilal Shavkat Rakhmonov fight, but Rakhmonov is injured. So as soon as Rakhmonov's healthy again, we'll get him back in there, and obviously he'll probably be first in line to fight whoever wins that Jack Della versus Bilal fight.
UFC 315, May 10th.
Wow. I won't be there. I don't go to Canada anymore. I don't. No, nor should you. No, discipline.
I'm going to go in there. I'm going to outbox Jack. I'm not going to shoot one takedown. And I'm going to show him the meaning of Canelo hands. I'm going to show the UFC fighters, the fans, that I'm the best boxer in the UFC, the best boxer in the welterweight division.
Dismissing Jack is going to be very common. That's going to be what you in human nature are meant to do. The same way, in large part, that you dismiss Sean Strickland when he drew Izzy.
Dana White is facing heavy backlash from the MMA community over the lackluster and poorly assembled UFC 315 card. Reacting to the UFC 315 card, Daniel Cormier expressed surprise at the sudden shift in fighter scheduling, questioning how Shavkat Rakhmonov, who was originally expected to face Bilal Muhammad, was replaced by Jack Della Maddalena, a move that raised doubts about the intrigue and competitive logic behind the matchup.
Bilal Muhammad was supposed to fight Shavkat. Shavkat fought Ian Gary Hurt. We did that earlier, right? But now he fights Jack Della Maddalena, who was supposed to fight Leon Edwards in England. My question to you is this. Are you surprised that they moved Jack Della into the championship opportunity, but not Leon Edwards as a rematch?
Responding to the controversy, Chael Sonnen shared his perspective, emphasizing his long-standing support for progress and stating that, in his view, the decision to drop Leon Edwards and insert Jack Della Maddalena in place of Bilal Muhammad is a smart and forward-looking move.
If I had a magic wand and I could change something about our industry, and I realize this is hypothetical and you couldn't do it in reality, but I believe in forfeits. I've always believed in forfeits. I grew up from a competitive wrestling background. If a match doesn't happen because one guy pulled out, I believe the other guy should advance. And I got to tell you that because Jack has said yes to a few fights. And I don't know if people know he should be getting credit for it. He said yes to Kamaru Usman. I don't know what happened there, but it wasn't on Jack's side. Jack said yes to Leon Edwards, which was in a different continent, by the way. Again, 2 world champions he agrees to fight. Something happens in both of them, I think that's an advancement by Jack. As far as I'm concerned, he just slid past 2 world champions. He should be fighting for the belt. I love the idea.
On the other hand, Daniel expressed confusion over Jack Della Maddalena being given this opportunity, noting his hesitation in seeing someone without a championship pedigree take the spotlight. In Cormier's view, it would have made more sense for Leon Edwards, who had previously lost to Bilal Muhammad, to receive the shot instead, given his experience and title history.
I've never been more confused as to the hesitancy to give a guy who was a champion and won the belt, defended the belt in a rematch like Leon Edwards, right? Just seems like they moved on. Maybe it was the dominance in which he lost his championship to Bilal Muhammad. You know, well, I really don't want to see that fight again because I know the story, right? But Jack Della Maddalena is a very exciting fighter. He's a tremendous striker, and he really does have all the skills in the world.
In light of Dana White's reshuffling of fighters, Michael Bisping also questioned the integrity of the matchups, with Jack Della Maddalena now facing Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards set to fight Sean Brady. Bisping expressed concern about the future of Islam Makhachev, wondering who he might be forced to face next under Dana's new plans.
But still, there's the breaking news. Leon versus Sean Brady and Jack versus Bilal. So what does that mean for Islam Makhachev? Because he wanted to go up, so who's he going to be fighting, eh? I wonder. I think I know, but I'm not going to say because I could be wrong and it might be delicate information. However, who do you think wins that fight? Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena and Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. As I said, stylistically, that's a tricky matchup for Leon. Not that he can't beat him, but it's just a big switch-up, as I said, and on relatively short notice.
On the other hand, Dana White has addressed the situation, explaining why he hasn't been able to finalize a fight between Shavkat Rakhmonov and Bilal Muhammad.
UFC 315 on May 10th, live from the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada. The main event will be Bilal Muhammad, his first title defense, against, what was I just talking about? Number 4 ranked Jack Della Maddalena. We tried multiple times to put together the Bilal Shavkat Rakhmonov fight, but Rakhmonov is injured. So as soon as Rakhmonov's healthy again, we'll get him back in there, and obviously he'll probably be first in line to fight whoever wins that the Jack Della versus Bilal fight. Bilal hasn't lost in 11 fights. Jack's on a 17-fight win streak, with all 8 of those wins coming by first round knockout or submission.
Dana White also spoke about Jack Della Madalena's fighting background, describing him as a legitimate and deserving opponent.
He's another guy who's earned like 5 performance bonuses in 6 fights. And his last fight against Gilbert Burns earned him Honors Comeback of the Year nomination. These guys have a combined 28-fight unbeaten streak that goes back over 6 years.
Meanwhile, with Leon Edwards and Jack Della Maddalena being pulled from the card and Sean Brady stepping in, Michael Bisping expressed complete disbelief. He went on to break down the situation, stating that this could turn into a nightmare for Edwards, as Brady may prove to be a tougher opponent than Maddalena.
Jack Della Maddalena versus Leon, that's off, and Sean Brady steps in. This is kind of a nightmare situation for Leon Edwards. I'm not saying Leon can't beat him, but stylistically and on short notice, this is a very, very different fight, and potentially a harder fight than Jack Della Maddalena. Styles make fights. Leon is a sniper on the feet. Of course, he's got great takedown defense. He was able to take down Kamaru Usman, fully mount him, and all the rest of it, right? We know he's well-rounded. But when you're training for Jack Della Maddalena and you're focusing on boxing and pretty much a stand-up affair, and you're not really working on the takedown defense and defending chokes and...
Amid all the chaos with the jiu-jitsu prowess Sean Brady is bringing to the table, Michael Bisping reflected that this is shaping up to be a fascinating UFC mix-up. He also asserted that given Brady's extensive experience, he has been preparing for this type of challenge, and facing Jack Della Maddalena wouldn't have posed a significant problem for him.
All the variety of madness in the jiu-jitsu world that Sean Brady does offer, it's a big mix-up. Now, granted, all the work that he's done in the past to beat Kamaru Usman, to fight and go up against Bilal Muhammad, that's all in the tank, okay? It's like if you go out there and you win a fight really, really quickly and people think, why did I bother? Why did I bother training? No, the reason you did that is because you still leveled up in training camp. Your skill set overall got better. So Leon's been preparing for these kind of fights his entire career.
Meanwhile, Joe Rogan voiced concerns about UFC 315 being held in Canada, acknowledging that while the idea might appeal to some, he personally does not support it. He went further to criticize the decision, calling it completely undisciplined and questioning the rationale behind the location choice.
When is Bilal fighting Jack?
2 months?
Is that 2 months?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
I don't know.
See if Jamie could find it. Fucking unbelievable, man. I'm super impressed.
Montreal, UFC 315, May 10th.
Wow. I won't be there. I don't go to Canada anymore. I don't. No, nor should you. No, discipline. Yeah, I'd rather go to Russia. Yeah. 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 Hell yeah.
When they become the U.S., you never know.
That's never going to happen. That's so crazy to ask them to be the 51st state. I had a conversation with Trump about it. He goes, I started calling him Governor Trudeau just for fun. And a lot of people are saying it's a good idea. Like, maybe it is a good idea.
Responding to Joe Rogan's preference for holding UFC 315 in Russia over Canada, James Lynch took a satirical jab at Rogan, humorously pointing out that as a known cannabis user, Rogan should reconsider his stance given Russia's strict drug laws.
But here's Rogan, a guy who smokes up. He smokes, marijuana. He could get into Canada without too many issues as far as the marijuana laws here. I know it's not like, it's a lot more lax here. Whereas if you go to Russia, it's 9 years in prison. So you're telling me you'd rather go to Russia where you could get 9 years in prison for having drugs on you as opposed to Canada, which I don't know the full laws. I'm not on here to lecture anyone about the laws in Canada, but I don't imagine it's as serious here with something like marijuana as it would be in Russia. And that's just one of the many things over there. And I got nothing against Russia. I'm just saying that you're comparing, a country that has much different laws, much different culture than what we have here in Canada, and you're coming on here and making it out like it's worse. Like, I don't know.
Amid all this, the bout between Bilal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena has been billed as a major showdown. Reviewing the matchup, Daniel Cormier emphasized the immense pressure on Muhammad and offered advice on how he should approach the fight, stressing the importance of strategy and composure given the high stakes.
But a fight that's actually happening is UFC 315 this weekend in Montreal as Bilal Muhammad takes on Jack Della Maddalena. So UFC 315 goes down this weekend, so this is going to be my performance playbook brought to you by Rose Sparks. So, guys, Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena is a massive fight. There are two things that have to happen for these guys. One for Bilal, one for Jack Della Maddalena. If Bilal Muhammad is going to be successful in his first title defense, he has to look and fight in the same way that he fought Leon Edwards. He's got to have a lot of pressure. He's got to secure takedowns, and he's got to keep Jack guessing.
According to Daniel Cormier, Bilal Muhammad must avoid giving Jack Della Maddalena any space to stand and strike. He emphasized that Muhammad's best path to victory lies in relentless pressure, utilizing takedowns, and a well-rounded mixed martial arts approach to neutralize Maddalena's striking threat and control the pace of the fight.
Because if Jack Della Maddalena is able to just stand and strike with him, Bilal's going to be out of his element. But when he mixes everything together, the wrestling, the takedowns, the striking, he can fight anyone, and he really can overwhelm you. That is why he knocked out Sean Brady, and that is why he truly outclassed Leon Rocky Edwards. So Bilal Muhammad has to be that full mixed martial artist, and the pressure has got to be, it's got to be very present from the start of the fight. He's got to mix in the takedowns and use those takedowns to keep Jack Della.
Daniel Cormier also drew a comparison to Jack Della Maddalena's fight with Basil Hafez, noting that although Hafez was losing, he managed to successfully take Maddalena down in the third round. Cormier suggested that if a similar scenario plays out against a high-caliber fighter like Bilal Muhammad, Maddalena won't be able to recover, implying that such a moment could seal his defeat.
Basil Hafez, it was Basil Hafez in the Apex, and he was losing, had to have a very good third round to win that fight because Hafez successfully took him down over and over again. That can't happen. If that starts to happen against a fighter at the level of Bilal Muhammad, he's not getting the job done. He has got to stay upright. He's got to move on the outside. And he's got to pick at Bilal Muhammad. He can't get excited. Excitement in this fight for Della Maddalena will lead to problems.
Reacting to the matchup, Bilal Muhammad shared his thoughts with a clear warning to Jack Della Maddalena, vowing to outbox him in the octagon. He confidently asserted that he will prove his dominance and show the world that he is the best in the jiu-jitsu game, leaving no doubt about his place at the top.
I'm going to go in there, I'm going to outbox Jack, I'm not going to shoot one takedown, and I'm going to show him the meaning of Canelo hands. I'm going to show the UFC fighters, the fans, that I'm the best boxer in the UFC, the best boxer in the welterweight division.
In response, Jack Della Maddalena expressed strong confidence in his ability to land powerful shots against Bilal Muhammad. While many regard Bilal as a top-tier striker, Maddalena made it clear that he's not intimidated, stating that once they step into the octagon, he will prove to be a serious challenge, and possibly more than Muhammad can handle.
I mean, I think obviously the fight, I think he's striking. It's fast. He has a fast, awkward striking style, you know, so it's effective. He doesn't, obviously he's not a very damaging guy because he's not putting, he doesn't put all his weight behind his shots. It seems like he just snaps them out there. It's fast. So he can touch you and then he can get on your hips. So he's a well-rounded guy. What was B? Question B, what was B?
Do you think he'll actually strike?
Obviously the fight starts on the feet, so I think he will come out, dip his toes a little bit. If he's feeling comfortable and his fast little flicking hands he thinks are landing, he might stay on the feet a little bit. But I think when he starts feeling uncomfortable, I think that's when you see him start to revert back to his bread and butter.
Jack Della Maddalena also emphasized that he isn't underestimating Bilal Muhammad, acknowledging his strong track record and sharp striking. However, he made it clear that he's ready to meet him toe-to-toe, stating confidently that he'll stand with Bilal and prove that he's the superior all-around MMA fighter.
Yep, 100%. You know, obviously he's good at winning, you know, so he'll revert back to just trying to win, which is, yeah, and that's his, I think that, obviously I don't underestimate his striking, so, but I think I think I can get him on the feet and on the ground. I think I'm a better MMA fighter than him, you know. I wouldn't even want to have a boxing match with him because I like MMA. I like the rule set. I like kicking. kick him and knee him and elbow him.
On the other hand, Chael Sonnen weighed in with his opinion, stating that dismissing Jack Della Maddalena should come naturally to Belal Muhammad, suggesting it would be an easy task for him. Sonnen went further, bluntly claiming that Maddalena has virtually no chance of winning this fight. Chael further criticized Jack Della Maddalena, arguing that he hasn't shown the growth needed to evolve from his past losses. In contrast, Sonnen praised Belal Muhammad for his resilience, highlighting how he has endured more adversity and continued to rise. He even shared a story about Muhammad battling through a painful toe infection, using it as an example of his toughness and unwavering commitment to the sport.
But first off, Jack's not the one you move on from. He's just not. He strikes me as a real competitor. And there is a story that you guys don't know. And it's about Belal. And I really respect Belal for this. Because if he gave you all the information on how sick he was, are you aware that it was on the fence if he was going to live or die? Are you aware of that? All through an infection that came through his toe. I mean, are you aware of that?
Revealing further details, Chael Sonnen emphasized just how powerful and resilient Belal Muhammad truly is, reflecting on his physical strength and mental toughness. He praised Muhammad's ability to bounce back into peak form even after facing difficult circumstances, highlighting his unmatched endurance and readiness to compete at the highest level.
You're probably not. There is a story that went around the industry. I don't think it came public to you. I think it was just the guys in the locker room. But when Belal was released, he dropped down to see how many push-ups he could do. For whatever reason, that's his thing. I'm going to try push-ups. 5. That's what he got to. And that story may be out, but I'm just sharing for you. Anyone that got that sick, anybody that got that weak, anybody that was in that position, wouldn't it overly matter the circumstances if they've got to turn it around and be the baddest man on earth and they got 8 months to do it?
Reflecting on Belal Muhammad's strength, Sonnen weighed in by emphasizing that as the fight draws nearer, it's increasingly clear to him that Belal possesses incredible power and unwavering cardio. He stressed that Muhammad isn't the type to fade as the fight progresses, firmly backing him to take control, while casting serious doubt on Jack Della Maddalena's chances in the matchup.
He's not going to get knocked out. He's not going to get submitted. He's not going to get tired. Gilbert said, I've been leaning Belal the entire time. And Gilbert fought Belal, and he was very complimentary. Man, this guy's a study. He just said, as this fight gets closer, I'm starting to switch. And I am too. And I'm not to the point where I'm switching and I'm taking Jack. I'm switching my mind that this is something to dismiss. Belal is too good. He's on too good of a streak. He's already been in there and beaten too good and too high-ranked of guys. That dismissiveness, at least within myself, as this fight gets closer, much like Gilbert Burns said, is starting to switch.
On the other hand, Jack Della Maddalena has remained steadfast in his belief that Belal Muhammad is about to face a completely different kind of opponent. He stated that his fighting attributes speak for themselves, and his diverse background in combat sports will be the key to asserting dominance in the octagon and proving he belongs at the top.
I think I've got more precision, accuracy, power, the whole lot. I think I've got more dog in me. I think he hasn't fought someone like me. I've fought people like him my whole career. He's never fought someone like me.
Like, if you win, you'll be the youngest of the current UFC champions unless we get some title changes between now and then. You look at the welterweight rankings, definitely one of the younger guys. Do you feel like this is going to be a true indicator? I know Belal just became champ, but he is an older guy of like a changing of the guard.
I think it's a changing of the guard. There's a lot of new guys coming through, and I look forward to get that belt, changing the guard, and then defending against the next breed and solidifying myself as the best guy in this generation and the best welterweight ever.
Meanwhile, the sudden opponent changes on the UFC 315 card have raised eyebrows, and Ariel Helwani shared his take on the situation. He noted that the matchup between Leon Edwards and Sean Brady is actually a compelling one, pointing out that Edwards has long desired a fight of this caliber. According to Helwani, this is the perfect opportunity for Edwards to showcase his dominance against a highly respected and long anticipated anticipated opponent.
It's now Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Now, this is the fight that Sean Brady wanted. Remember, he said on the show he wanted this fight, his wife giving birth around this time, but he would fight around that time as well because it's such a big opportunity. It's an opportunity to fight the former champion Leon Edwards.
Furthermore, Ariel Helwani pointed out a key concern, how Jack Della Maddalena will handle his bout with Belal Muhammad, especially considering he hasn't fought since March of last year. Helwani questioned whether the long layoff could impact Maddalena's performance and readiness. He also weighed in on the other matchups on the UFC 315 card, offering insights into the broader implications of the reshuffled lineup.
Is going to be Belal Muhammad defending his UFC welterweight title against Jack Della Maddalena, who has not fought since March of last year when he beat Gilbert Burns. You'll recall he breaks his forearm, he has the injury, he has the infection, all that stuff, but now here he is getting a chance to fight for the belt. So it's Belal versus Jack Della all of a sudden for the title. Now, in addition to that, we are getting Valentina Shevchenko defending her UFC women's flyweight title against Manon Fiorot. This is the fight that had to happen. It was the only fair thing. We all want Valentina versus Zhang Wei Li, but let's be honest, Valentina fights in May if she gets by Manon, which is no easy task.
Wade Plemons also couldn't hide his surprise upon learning that the highly anticipated fight between Leon Edwards and Jack Della Maddalena was no longer happening, insisting it had all the makings of a banger. While he extended his best wishes for the newly arranged bout between Maddalena and Belal Muhammad, Plemons expressed concern over what this shakeup means for Shavkat Rakhmonov's future.
Immediately when you hear that, you think, okay, Leon versus JDM, that was a banger of a fight. Why would he be pulled out of that fight? Why would he have pulled out of that fight? Injury stuff, potentially. You don't really know as of the announcement while it's happening live. Turns out Jack Della Maddalena is going to get a massive, massive upgrade. He's fighting for a world title, ladies and gentlemen. JDM and Belal Muhammad for the 170 belt. What is going on with Shavkat?
Despite his concerns, Wade Plemons went on to emphasize that the revised matchup is still incredibly exciting. He noted that the entire UFC 315 card is stacked with high-stakes bouts, predicting that every fight has the potential to deliver something massive and memorable for the fans.
One of those things that just lingers forever and ever and we never get the fight. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it, right? No, come on, just do it. It's just such a good matchup, right? It's such a good storyline with Georgia and Dagestan and the striking development of Islam over time, and honestly, the boxing of Ilia Topuria and his striking acumen with his ground game and his wrestling that we haven't seen in a while because he's been just knocking motherfuckers dead. It's just such a good fight, and that's the biggest takeaway from me. Obviously, 170, Belal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena, that's fucking massive as well. The grappling and striking of Jack Della Maddalena. Obviously, Belal is going to look to just run him over and pace to kill. It's going to be very interesting to see that matchup.
And there you have it. UFC 315 may be one of the most chaotic buildups in recent memory, but with surprise matchups, fiery opinions, and high-stakes drama, it's shaping up to be an unforgettable night. Whether you're backing Belal, betting on Maddalena, or just here for the madness, one thing's for sure, the Octagon never disappoints. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because this fight card just flipped the script and you won't want to miss what happens next.